Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go.
Hi, yes, let's go. It's Ballsy Uncut for this Monday, the 22nd of September, 2025, a day I'm never going to forget. And if you're a true blue CFL football fan, it's a day you're never going to forget because it's the first step towards the end of this league. That might be a little dramatic, but I really believe that's the case. Now, I've got Kleenex here because I may get a little emotional, and none of this is put on, okay? Now in sports, being a sports fan, I've had my heart broken as a fan a couple of times. I mean, if you're a Rider fan, the 2009 13th Man Grey Cup, that's a bad one. I was only 4 when Tony Gabriel scored against the Riders, so I can't say I know anything about that. 1986 playoffs, Oilers and Flames. Steve Smith scores in his own net. I Oilers fan, hated the Calgary Flames, so that hurt. This today is on par with January of 2024, when after a sports cage, I was hauled into the boardroom by a manager who has since been fired because he was a complete and total bozo. He fired me. I was I was terminated without cause. Told I could stick around, but I would no longer be allowed to be the voice of the Riders. And that's all I'm going to say right now, because once again, I got a severance package. So that's all I can say. But anybody that knows me knows that was an emotional time. Like, I came home, I was a puddle. I was bawling to my son. I was bawling to my friend, Sean Kleisinger. That was a horrific day in my life, sports-wise. And this is on par with it. And I'm utterly shocked that more people aren't upset. More people that are true football fans of the Canadian Football League, they're not upset. They're kind of asleep, kind of dopey, just like a lot of the world, dopey. They don't see what's happening right before their eyes. You see over my shoulder, if you're watching this thing, I got the Ball jersey hanging there. Put that on my bingo card, or something I never thought I'd see. I have a Ball Rider jersey 2022 that they gave me as voice of the team, signed by my very good friend Jim Hobson before he died. We had a nice, intimate conversation about the Riders, about life, about how I was done dirty. We talked about all of that. And Jim Hobson would be turning over in his grave today if he was to see what happened today. In fact, I know if Jim Hobson was on the board of governors, this would not have happened. The likes of Jim Hobson, the likes of Lyle Bauer, and the likes of Bobby Ackles, all three of those dudes, God rest their souls, this would not have happened today. This would not have happened today. But anyway, I was in Ottawa, and I watched my flesh and blood have a breakout game. 4 special teams tackles in a game. 4. 1 didn't count because of a bullshit penalty by the officials. But 4 special teams tackles, and he almost returned an onside kick. He had the kicker come up to him, Jammer, the punter, and say, hey, I would have awarded you the special teams player of the game, but we kind of got to give it to Vavel because he returned a missed field goal, 128 yards. You know, one of the most exciting plays in the CFL? You know that play? Yeah. Well, they didn't give Ethan the special teams player of the game because they had to rightfully give it to Vavel or Vaval, or however the heck you say it. Great kid, outstanding football player. But that kid right there, Ethan Ball, grew up in the stands of old Mosaic Stadium and then briefly at New Mosaic Stadium. He grew up wanting to be a Canadian Football League player. He wanted to play the 3-down game. He loved the game that we played in Canada. And I guess rightfully so, he is going to be a part of the league this year. And the way he's playing, hopefully looks like a good chance maybe next year, knock on wood, depending how it goes, be a part of the Canadian Football League the way it was meant to be played before it gets screwed up. And it got screwed up today. Any way you slice it, any way you dice it, today was a horrible day for the Canadian Football League. I shed a few tears today, and I probably will on this show. I have loved this league since I was 6 years old. And I've told this story before. I got it here somewhere. Just give me a second. I do have an NFL helmet here. I like the San Diego Chargers of Los Angeles. And you know why I like the San Diego Chargers of Los Angeles? Let me tell you why. First game I ever watched was the 1981 season, but it would have been the 82 playoffs when they took on the Miami Dolphins in the Orange Bowl in the hook and ladder game. Don Strock to, was it Nate Moore or whatever, and they flipped it off for a touchdown. Kellen Winslow. I'm watching these teams go back and forth. Chargers would win it in overtime, 41-38. Kellen Winslow had to be helped off the field, the tight end. I was like, I like the Chargers because they throw the football like a CFL team. They fire it all over the field like a CFL team. I love Dan Fouts, Kellen Winslow, Charlie Joyner, Wes Chandler, Chuck Muncie, James Brooks, all those guys. And I'm like, we only got one NFL game a week because we weren't inundated with everything. I'm like, I love the Chargers. They're going to be my NFL team because they played like a CFL team. When I told the story about getting the Riders job, it was always my goal to be a professional football player. And if I couldn't be a professional football player, I wanted to be a broadcaster for the Saskatchewan Roughriders and eventually be in the booth. And I got to do both, and I thank God I got to do both. I loved every second of it. Unfortunately, it was short-lived. But I'm sitting here, and it was short-lived because I don't tread lightly with bullshit. And I call people on their shit, okay? I call it like I see it, and that's why I'm sitting here. And I want to start first by saying I've stood by my mom's apparent deathbed where they said she's going to die and she only has hours to live. We're going to wait till your brother comes in, and then we'll have to shut off the life support, and then she'll quickly go, which she never did. She's still alive. I was just told my dad might not have long to live. And he's at home, still alive. For how long, I don't know. So I don't say this lightly, but I mean this. Today's announcement was like getting, and I'm sorry if I offend some people, but like I just said, I've been through some things personally, health-wise with my family. Today felt like a gut punch, and it felt like somebody told me that one of my loved ones is going to die soon. Like I got a terminal, they're terminal. Like that's it. Like my buddy Pete Pasco, the sports guy, coach, Locker Talk on Access, who just passed away, God rest his soul, in June. That's what it felt like to me. Terminal. That's it. So now as fans, we were told our league's terminal today, and we can go visit our friend for the rest of this year and next year. And then after that, all bets are off. That's what it is. They can tell you whatever they want. That's what it is. Believe it. Believe it. We're on the Titanic. There's the iceberg. And I hate saying this, but this is the truth. This is the truth. Now, what did I like about today's announcements? It wasn't all doom and gloom. What did I like today about what I heard? Well, the benches are going to be separated. Wow, who knew? Who knew that was the way to go? Wow, let's go back to the 90s and the 80s. What a revelation. No kidding. No shit, Sherlock. Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg, and Saskatchewan had it right. Probably the teams you should follow. Winnipeg, Edmonton, Saskatchewan, and Calgary. Get your shit together, BC. Get your shit together, Montreal. Get your shit together, Hamilton. And shocker, get your shit together, Toronto. That's a big shocker. Okay, we switched. We made the benches. Whoa, we revolutionized the game. Congratulations. Good job, Stu. Good job. Way to poke your head out of the hole and tell us we need the benches on the other side. Okay, good job. Oh, good. I'll go with that. This 35-second clock, from what I can tell now, and I had a friend help me out here. The The 35-second clock, and I was looking at this. So yeah, just watch this. Before Edmonton punted the ball to Hamilton with 2 minutes remaining in the game this past weekend, Hamilton went down the field to win. After Edmonton's second down play, the game clock stopped at 2:05 left in the fourth. It then took almost 25 seconds for the refs to blow in the next play. When the play was blown in, the 20-second game clock started alongside the game clock, also starting at 2:05. So really, this new 35-second play clock is going to make the refs blow in the play and get set up quicker. And because of the new rule, the play clock doesn't start when the play is blown in like it is now. And truth be told, it was never truly a 20-second play clock. Like, they did have time before the ref got it set up. So it never really was a 20-second play clock. So that's not really a hill to die on. So I'm okay with those two things. One should have always been, and most of the West teams had it right, the bench. And to speed up the game, more streamlined, I'm 100% in favor of that. I'm down with that. Okay, I'm down with that. And my new favorite player in the Canadian Football League, not named Ethan Ball, is Nathan Rourke. If you haven't seen what Nathan Rourke said, find it. Find it. It's on Instagram. Go to his Instagram page. He absolutely calls the new rules garbage and says he doesn't think the commissioner of the CFL, he knows the commissioner doesn't love the game like he does. And I totally agree. He doesn't. He doesn't. The new commissioner doesn't. Like, where was this guy for 3 months? He was in a witness protection program. Then he pops his head out and makes all these changes. Now, in fairness to Stu Johnson, this wasn't just his fault. He doesn't get to go rogue here. He may have had a couple of ideas, but the Board of Governors get the final say. Okay? Unanimous decision. A unanimous decision. How many Canadians are on the Board of Governors? How many actual Canadians? Like, you all rubber stamped. Craig Reynolds from Foam Lake, Saskatchewan. Craig Reynolds from Foam Lake, Saskatchewan. U of S Husky grad. You rubber stamped this, Craig. You were okay with this, Craig Reynolds. You're okay with killing the Canadian Football League. Because it's dead. It's dead. You can say it's not dead, but it is dead. And you were okay with that. You were okay with pissing on Gino Makowski and Roger Aldag and Bob Poley and Jeff Fairholm and Ray Elgard and Dan Farthing and Logan Furland and Kean Schaefer-Baker and all of these guys. You're okay with that. You're okay with that. I'm shocked that I know Chris Morris. Chris Morris was the very first guy who recruited my son. And hey, Ballsy stands behind what he said. That's why Ballsy's sitting here and he's not calling CFL football. And I'd love to call CFL football again, but not like this. Not like this. Not like this. This is ridiculous. I sent a message to Craig Reynolds. A personal message to Craig Reynolds. And I sent one to Chris Morris, who I consider a friend. And Chris Morris is a smart guy, and he's cleaned all this up. Now, Craig, he's just the president. He's got an owner. Craig Reynolds, for instance, he's the face of the Board of Governors here for the Riders. So he's basically the de facto owner of the Riders. He would have the say, okay? He would have the say. So I place blame squarely on him from the Rider side of things. He owns 1/9 of this. And don't let him forget it. He owns 1/9 of this. Chris Morris, a guy who coached at the University of Alberta Golden Bears, a guy who's Edmonton through and through, a Canadian Grey Cup champion. He'd be okay with this? I have a tough time believing this. Even Wade Miller, all-time special teams guru. I never talked to Wade. I don't know him. I have nothing against Wade, but I have a tough time believing he'd be for this. And what strikes me as, at first it struck me as shocking, but it's not when you think about it. It's not when you think about it. the coaches and the coaches and the general managers and the players were not involved in the decision-making process for these rules. They were not involved in the decision-making process for these rules. Let that marinate for a second for you. Why do we even have a rules committee? Because we won't need a rules committee. Just hold on. Just stay with me till the end here. I don't know how long this is going to go. By the way, I'm welcoming your chats, okay? I'm welcoming your chats. This is from Rocky. Ballsy, this is when you're gold. I completely agree. From Cole Frank, is an American? The CFL will still be my favorite football league. I don't think this will destroy the league. I hope my American friends will understand the league better and follow it. Lee Hart, missed field goal returns are gone. Yeah, missed field goal returns are gone. My son was playing in the game when Vavel returns a kick 128 yards for a touchdown. The greatest play in that game saved the Blue Bombers bacon. May have saved the Blue Bombers playoff season. Who knows? May have. And it's gone. And it's gone. Oh, but Ballsy, it won't be gone. It's not going to be gone. They can still return it. Yeah, sure. What, they're going to stand by the goal line, by the posts, like Antonio Cromartie did that one in a generational play against Minnesota for the Chargers. That was the game where Adrian Peterson ran for a bajillion yards against my Chargers, okay? Speaking of the Chargers. You're going to have Mario Alford or whoever, pick a guy, Janarian Grant or Vavel, stand at the goal line and wait to see if the ball's short or not. All because one time we kicked it out the back of the end zone wide, and everybody's talking about how on social media, oh my God, on social media, they're making fun of us. Really, there was a Fail Mary pass in the NFL with replacement refs. The lights went out in the Super Bowl. The lights went out in the fucking Super Bowl. And we're worried because we might get made fun of there. So instead of, figure this out. So figure this out. Instead of doing this, by the way, CFL, it stands for the Canadian Football League. Yes, it does. But it also stands for cash flow low. You know what, guys? We're having a real problem with this Rouge. Like it's embarrassing. We have no money. Yeah, okay. Well, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make it 100-yard field, and we're gonna move the goalpost back. Okay. Now you can give up a Rouge if you go down on your knee, but if anything gets missed or anything like that, there's no point. Well, how about we do this? How about we do this? How about we keep everything the way that it is? Therefore, there's no added costs. And how about if the ball is unplayable, meaning if it goes out the end zone without being touched via punt or a field goal, how about then we don't have there's no point. So then the game, the Grey Cup, nothing can be decided that way. How about that? No, they elect to blow it all up. But there's a reason for that. Just hold on. There's a reason for that. We're going to get to that, okay? We're going to get to that. They'll tell you it's not, but it is. I do want to take a break. And when I come back, I want to talk about how absolutely pathetic our media is. I actually need to call out these bozos. And they are bozos. I need to call out these bozos. Okay, so I'm back here. Sorry, it's a one-man gang here, and I'm trying to figure this all out myself, okay? James from Sarkan. I know James. He says, I agree with Rourke. It's garbage. The only rule I like is taking the Rouge away for a missed field goal. Okay, like I said, I would be okay with the Rouge being gone only if it's an unplayable football, meaning it doesn't touch the ground, it goes out. That's it. We're going to get to all the ramifications, but I got to talk about the media for a minute. So I left So Saturday, I'm at what it was Frank Clair Stadium. It was Lansdowne Park. It's TD Place at Lansdowne Park or something in Ottawa. Beautiful day. 23 degrees, no wind, beautiful setting. 20,000 fans there. Not because the game sucks, not because the rules suck, not because of the ratio. It's because of the horseshit team that's been playing there for a while. I'm sorry. There's lots of guys on that team I like, and there's lots of people associated with that team I like. Brendan Tammon, Bob Dice, Sean Burke, Chad Hudson, just to name a few. Drew Brown, Crum, who I've had on the show. Pimpleton, I've had on the show. Stand back there anymore? Is Stand back there? Or did he move? I forgot. I think Stand back's there. Yeah, Stand back. Gino Lewis, had all those guys on my show. Okay, because I promote the league. But they haven't been playing good football. So who's going to go spend their money to go there on a beautiful afternoon? You have to win to make them go. So I don't totally blame the fans. But there should be 24,000 there easy. But it's not the game. It's not the game. Anyway, I'm there watching this game, thinking of all the greats who played there. J.C. Watts and Conrad Holloway and Tom Clements and Kerry Joseph. And, I mean, the list goes on. And Jim Reed, Skip Walker. I mean, I can go all the way back. Like, we've had some really great players play in Ottawa, and I'm a historian. I love the league. So I'm sitting there watching this thing, and I'm like, wow, it's amazing to see the talent on this field. Gino Lewis making plays, Vavel returning a kick, my son going down making tackles, and I got a kick out of that. I'm like, man, I wanted to be a football player, then a broadcaster when I knew small white Canadian, they weren't looking for that back then. So I'm watching my offspring thinking, this is unbelievable. Unbelievable. So I get on the plane this morning and I see the announcement it's coming down on Sunday. And so I'm getting on the plane this morning and I could have bought Wi-Fi in Air Canada, but I'm saying to myself, no, I'm not going to pay Wi-Fi and then be upset and have rage on an airplane. That's not the place to have rage. Okay. You ask my girlfriend, Crescinda, today, I was not a guy to be around today. Between being upset, being snarly, having a tear or two in my quiet time, it was not a good day. But I got to see the press conference. That is the worst display of question and answer in my life. In my life. They never asked that guy anything. They never asked him one question. Not one question of any substance. And I really got to call out 3 dudes that need to be called out. Now, I have the utmost respect for what he has done in his career. This isn't about what he's done in his career. But Arash Madani has never liked the CFL. Ever. Something must have gone wrong with him after he worked for Winnipeg and Ottawa. Something must have gone wrong because he is negative. And now all of a sudden this is the greatest thing in the world. You got to evolve or die. You got to modernize. What? He's not the only guy that talked like that. I talked to a couple of friends that said that behind the scenes. Modernize? Revolutionize? You're changing to the American game. You're not doing anything revolutionary. In fact, you're doing the exact opposite. But all of a sudden, Arash works for 3 Down Nation and he's laying down now, and now he's being a flag waver, all things CFL, and that's great. That's great. My kid's playing in the league. I love the CFL. But come on. You honestly think today was a good move? You honestly think that people are going to flock to Who here on the chat room thinks that people are going to flock to this league because it's a 4-down game? Because that's where it's headed. And we'll get into that. You think because it's an American game, people are going to, because we moved the goalposts back to the back of the end zone and made the end zones 15 yards, that people are going to flock to the game? Riddle me this, Batman. Riddle me this, Batman. Riddle me this. You've got a business with 100 people, okay? You've got 100 diehard customers, and they come to your coffee shop for your pastries. You got these one-of-a-kind pastries. Nobody else has those pastries in the world but you. You're the only one with these pastries. And you decide that you're going to change the pastries to be like Dunkin' Donuts. You're just going to be, Dunkin' Donuts gets a lot of customers. I'm just going to go with what Dunkin' Donuts does. So you had 100 people that liked your pastry, but you decided to go with Dunkin' Donuts recipe. And now you lost 70 people. So you've got 30 customers that are still coming. Okay? 70 said, fuck you, I'm out of here. That's it. I'm done. I'll just eat at home, or I just won't, whatever, man. Whatever. I don't like Dunkin' Donuts. I never liked Dunkin' Donuts. I'm not going to Dunkin' Donuts. You want to be Dunkin' Donuts, go to Dunkin' Donuts. So you got 30 people. But now, Ballsy's Pastries has switched to Dunkin' Donuts. I think I'm going to go check out Ballsy's Pastry. And 20 people come to Ballsy's Pastry shop. So he lost 70, he had 30, and he got 20 more, so he's got 50. So he's got 50, but he had 100, and he lost 50. How's that a good business model? I'll wait. Tell me how that's a good business model. Exactly. It's not a good business model. You are rolling the dice that you're going to... Now, listen, sometimes you got to tick off one fan to gain 2 fans. You don't tick off 3 fans to gain 1 fan. So that's one thing. You got a rash waving the banner. This league has always been about, it's never been about the game. It's never been about the rules. It's never been about the players. It's the most exciting. It was the most exciting. It is the most exciting brand of football till the end of 2026 on the planet. Bar none. It's got so many unique things. So many unique things that nobody else has. But that's not good enough. We can't be good until an American tells us we're good. Nickelback sucks until America tells us Nickelback's good, and then Nickelback's great. Shania Twain used to come to CKRM and beg us to play her stuff. And then she went to America, and now we could never get her in CKRM because she's huge. But it was because America told us she was good. That's how it always is. America's got to validate it for us before we think. If Doug Flutie says it's good, then it's good. Then it's good. If Nathan Rourke says this is garbage and it's not garbage, we got people on TSN telling him he needs to apologize. What? Fuck off. He's the face of the league. As Terrell Owens would say, that's my quarterback. That's everybody's quarterback in the CFL right there. He should get the most valuable player in the CFL right now. Award him the damn trophy right now. Nathan Rourke is the MOP of the CFL, the Canadian Football League. And you know who's in that chat? You know who's in the scrum? Farhan Lalji, one of the biggest phonies in CFL media coverage. Yeah, I said it. He's a phony. He doesn't like the CFL. He coached football in Vancouver, and he was a great coach, and he's made the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. Dude is a phony. He likes the NFL. He likes America football. He doesn't like Canadian football. Now, people will say, oh, Ballsy, your kid played American football. Yes, he did. He played American football. And he played American football because I know how this goes. I know how the game is played. I send my kid to UND because he's in America, and it's perceived he's in America. He must be a real good player to be in America. And I'm taking nothing away from Ethan. He's a great player. But he's no better a player there than he was in Calgary for the year I sent him there, because I sent him to Calgary because we both had a conversation and I said, do you think you're going to play in the NFL? Well, not now, Dad, I'm not. And I want to get on the field and play Canadian football. So we went to Calgary, okay? And had a great time there being coached by Mike Edam. We'll get into U Sports and all that stuff. Believe me, I got the time and I can rant, and I will. I got a couple of messages here and I'm going to get to all of them. Okay. I'll read through all of them. And forgive me for being rattled a bit here. It's not easy to talk all by yourself and formulate your thoughts. I'm doing the best that I can. Hopefully you guys can bear with me. I wrecked all my Kleenexes now, be the stress ball. Yeah. So you got Farhan Lalji there talking about how Nathan Rourke is upset, but this guy's over here telling you that he likes the rules. And that's fine. That's his opinion. He likes the rules. He likes the rules because they're American. It was he and Dave Naylor, another phony Canadian supporter. Dave Naylor and Farhan Lalji are the guys that are always poo-pooing Canadians, always promoting American football. Why do they have to be in Buffalo to call a game or in Philadelphia to call a game? If you're truly a CFL guy, why don't we spend the money and cover the Canadian Football League? Because nobody cares about the Canadian Football League. Those guys don't care about the Canadian Football League. Don't let Farhan tell you he does, because he doesn't. He does not care about Canadian football. Him and Dave Naylor they were the ones promoting that coming out of COVID, the CFL would have to merge with the XFL or it was dead. And nobody called those guys on it except for me. And you know why? Because they would rather be in Buffalo or Vegas or wherever the hell a team would be covering games there than going to Saskatchewan or Hamilton to cover a game. That's a fact. And they can say it's not, but that's a fact. So no, they're not Canadiana. So no. And they don't ask the tough questions. And somebody needed to hold Stuart Johnston's feet to the fire. This from Great White Bud. CFL has been a dumpster fire since Mark Cohan left. Here. Jeff says the new rules are making me sad. John Candy rolling in his grave. Kevin says they need to get back to be football only. Stop all this woke BS. That's what's pissing the hardcore fans off. It's a good point, Kevin. I'd like to jump in on that for a second. Be very careful with what you do, because there's no going back. The Edmonton Eskimos should still be the Edmonton Eskimos, but they're the Edmonton Elks. And ever since they changed their name, they have been a dumpster fire. Now they are playing good football and they're slowly coming back, but there's still something rotten there. There's still mystique there. They're close, but not quite there. And I love Mark Killam and I like Chris Morris, but they need to rip the Band-Aid off and go back to Eskimos. Look how many people they turned off by that name change. I'm serious. So yeah, I'm a little disappointed in our media and our media coverage and the fact that nobody's going to ask the guys the tough questions. Okay? So first of all, here's a question that we could have asked him. Has anybody heard from the commissioner yet about this? So, okay, so let me just see here. I'm going to go back to this for 1 second. Give me a second here, folks. Actually, let me take a break and then I'll come back. Hold on. Sponsor break again. There we go. The coaches, the GMs, the players, nobody was consulted. Why? I'll tell you why. Just give me a minute. I'm just trying to see here where, this is the First thing I saw. Okay. So this year, the 35-second autoplay clock, like NFL style, comes in. Okay. Rouge must be a touchback act of play, meaning you take a knee and that's a point. Teams must be on the opposite side of the field by the benches. Okay. So let's start with the 2026 rules. Please weigh in if you're 30-something, 20-something, 30-something. Does the 35-second autoplay clock make you want to get to a game? Are you buying tickets to come to the game? Okay. Did the Rouge really make you stay away? Did the Rouge make you stay away from going to the games? Like moving, like getting rid of the Rouge made you stay away from the game? And teams on opposite side of the field, they're gonna actually make you, that's gonna make you come back to the game. It's gonna make you speed back to the game and buy your tickets. Is that what it's gonna do? Okay, I didn't think those were big things that people were concerned about. Let's talk about something else here. Okay, so here's the very first question I would have asked him if I was there. I wouldn't have been allowed to be there, and I wouldn't be allowed to be on Zoom because I've asked to have the dude on 3 times and he doesn't come on because he doesn't like tough questions. They protect him from tough questions. They don't know how to answer the tough questions. They don't want somebody that is going to be rocking the boat. They want vanilla. That's why I'm doing a show from my basement. This is exactly why I'm sitting here, among other reasons. This is why I'm sitting here, because they don't want somebody to hold them to account. They want you all just to buy your tickets and be just good little Canadians that are going to accept what they have to say. Okay. This is the first thing I would have asked him. In your research, how is this going to bring people back to the game? How does this bring people back to the game, Stuart? What would he have said? I'd like to know what he would have said. What do you think he would have said? Nobody asked him. Nobody asked him. Stuart, how is this going to make us any money? Like, how does this make us any money? Are the Buffalo Bills giving us money because they were in bed with MLSE? Are the NFL owners giving us money? Like, how do these rules, how does flushing all this tradition down the toilet, how does that make us any money? Did anybody ask him that question today? I don't think they did. And he won't come on this show, so I can't ask him. So if you run into Stuart, or Stuart, if you catch wind of this, I'd love to have you on. I'd love to have anybody on that would talk about this. Craig Reynolds, come on, let's talk. We've talked before. I think you can trust me to have a decent conversation with you. We've broke bread before. Touchdown Halifax, or at the Grey Cup in Regina. We sat together and laughed. You told me what a great job I was doing. But nobody will come on here. So, Stuart, how is this making us any money? How is this making us any money? He doesn't have an answer that he wants to tell you. But it's coming. It's coming. Hold on. I'll get to it. Here's another question I'd ask. Why today, Stuart? Why today? Why this announcement today? Folks, do you want to know? Do you really want to know what's wrong with the Canadian Football League? This is what's wrong with the Canadian Football League. Right here. Right here. What happened today is wrong. This is what's wrong. It's not the game. It's not the ratio. It's not the rouge. It's not the play clock. It's not the yard off the ball. It's not the waggle. It's not the missed field goal returns. You know what the problem is? We have 1/3 of the season left. Heading to the playoffs. The commissioner opens up. Hi, is this thing on? Yeah, hi. Stuart Johnson here. Okay, we're ready. Hey, we are in the middle of a most exciting football season we've seen in some time. But I'm going to change everything right now. Except they're not going to change everything right now. They're not. Wait a minute. I got to check here. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. No, wait. It says 2026. It says 2026 right there. It says 2027. It's 2025. So why make this announcement now? Why is this announcement now? Why now? Huh? Why now? Why soil your season right now? Why have people all up in arms? Why have negative publicity right now? Why not wait till after the Grey Cup? And then we can have a whole off season to talk about it. Because they don't care. They don't care. They don't care. I got a lot of questions about this, and I would have asked this questions too. So, Stuart, who pays for all this? CFL, cash flow low. Stuart, you said only 2 teams made money last year. And we know that, the Riders and the Blue Bombers. And before that, it wasn't the Riders. And they only made money this year because Mark Habick did a great job coming up with the jerseys. Whether I totally like them or not, I don't know. But a lot of you did because it got them $6 million in money. $6 million, which helped their bottom line, which turned around their revenue because people aren't going to the games. So who's paying for the new turf? Because that turf is etched in at Mosaic Stadium. It's not painted in, it's etched in. So if we're going to reduce the end zones to 15 yards and we're going to make the field smaller, who's paying for that? Is my buddy James Hamilton, who sits up in the premium seats, is he going to get another service charge on his tickets to pay for it? Or Corey Zadarozniak that drives in from Weyburn, is he paying for those tickets? Is he paying for that? The guy with 11 jerseys, are you going to make him and his buddy Rob Tweed drive in from Weyburn and pay more money for tickets so that they can pay for the change? Who's paying for that? Now, I heard that we need new turf, apparently, already. So maybe that's a City of Regina cost. But, okay, so taxpayers, because City of Regina just don't have their own money. Like, it's taxpayers. They pay for it. So they're going to pay for the new turf. And they're not going to keep replacing turf, folks. Just stay with me. I'm painting a picture for you. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's going to happen. So who's paying for that? That's here. Okay, Stuart. And I heard he was on some other shows, once again, not on this show, and he got softball questions. Oh, your passion is so good. Oh, some great, interesting, exciting announcements. Okay, Stuart, let's get real here. Who's paying for the change at Leibel Field? Who's moving the goalposts at Leibel Field? The Thunder play at Leibel Field, but they play 1 game a year at Mosaic Stadium against the Hilltops. You know why they do that? Because they could put 2,000 more people in the stands for the Hilltops game, charge $20 a head. It's $40,000 extra to the Thunder. Are you going to give them $40,000 extra? Now, the Riders do give money through their Saskatchewan Rough Riders Foundation. I agree. But who's giving that money? So riddle me this, Batman. The Thunder are going to play 3 games on Leibel Field with the goalposts the way they are in Canada, but they're going to play the 4th game now in 2027 with a modified field. We're going to change the rules for 1 game. What about up in Saskatoon, SMS Field? Are they going to move the goalposts back? How about it where you do your training camp, Craig Reynolds? Where you do your training camp. Are you going to pay for the Huskies to change their field? I hear they're having a massive renovation at the U of S. So are we going to get on the same page and have um, a massive renovation, and are you going to pay for it to move the goalposts back? Or are you going to be told, hey, when you come to our field, you got to get used to kicking the old way because and the goalposts in the front. Oh, that's another thing I got to get to. But anyway, who's paying for that? Who is paying for all of that? Not just here. Now in Manitoba, apparently they paint their fields and they do it for the Valor. They switch everything out for the soccer team. But they still are they going to move the goalposts every time for the Bisons? Like, what are we doing here? I would strongly encourage this. I hope U Sports people, I actually talked to a couple of U Sports coaches today. Not that my opinion matters. Obviously, I hope it does. Got a lot of friends in football. I will tell you right now, U Sports, high school, junior football. Listen to me carefully. Do not change. And folks, you are listening to me right now. In this world of Canada, elbows up. Let's call it helmets up. Let's call it helmets up. Okay? The CFL, we can't do anything about what they're doing. We can't. But we sure as hell can support U Sports, junior football, high school football. Go to a game this fall. Get to a game and support Canadian football. And for the love of God, you guys, junior, U Sports, and high school, do not change. Do not change. Play the Canadian game. Do not change. I would stay with the Canadian game the way it's meant to be played for 3 to 5 years. Because this will not work, what they're doing. I don't see it working. So 3 to 5 years, stay where you are. Do not change. And we need to support Canada First. Whatever happened to Canada First? Whatever happened to it? Whatever happened to it? What happened to the commissioner saying he's not making that? He's not going to make drastic changes. He said that. He basically took a bomb to the game today. He dropped the bomb on the game. Him and the Board of Governors dropped the bomb on the game. And they did it for a reason. They did it for a reason. Now let's get into some other things in a second here. I'm going to take a break. We'll get into some other things. I'll get into some of your comments. They're really coming in here. Yeah, we'll get into it in a second here. Okay, welcome back. Ballsy Uncut. Let's get to some of these. Charlie Dufault says, the change is happening in 2027. All teams have a year to adjust. Great White Bud says, nope, elbows up is liberal garbage. Curtis says, we can stop the CFL. We need to gather and protest at each CFL stadium. Apparently our balls are not bigger, Ballsy. Radically American. CNFL. My balls are bigger. I'm not going anywhere. I'm sticking with what I've always said. What else do we got here? Megan, if you ask taxpayers to fork out more for the stadium already, there will be a huge public outcry. Well, the Riders already have problems paying their bills. They already have gone to City Hall and said, hey, we can't afford this. We can't afford that. We need a break on our rent. They've done that before. Larry says fans are going to be canceling their season tickets. Thanks a lot, Reynolds, you traitor. I'm convinced they put Chat GPT on Luke Wilson's computer, and this is what spit out as a solution to their perceived problems. Well, I don't know what Luke Wilson's. I've talked to Luke Wilson behind the scenes. I've called him out before. I'm not calling him out anymore. I've had conversations with him behind the scenes, and if he's to be believed, he's all for Canadians in the CFL and more Canadians in the CFL. But I don't think he is going to be very happy. Let me see here. I think I got something from Peter too. Ash says the CFL doesn't have a rules problem. It has a marketing problem. Absolutely. Okay. So here is a few other things I wrote down. By the way, speaking of football, the Thunder, a 41-40 win over the Winnipeg Rifles. What an outstanding game there. The Huskies knock off the Rams 22-20 in exciting fashion. You tell me those aren't worth watching? That was a great game, Huskies and Rams and Thunder and Rifles. That's great football. Make sure you get out there and support it. Yeah. The game has never been the problem. When you have people like Farhan Lalji and Dave Naylor and Arash Madani with their comments about the league and diminishing the league and talking down about the league and saying how they got to evolve or you die. You're not evolving. You're becoming America. How is that evolving? It's not something new. Look we're in the podcasting world, okay? There are a bajillion podcasts. I know that, okay? A bajillion podcasts. And you got to be unique. You got to carve out your own niche. The CFL had that. 3 downs, unlimited motion, 110-yard field with 20-yard end zones, 65 yards wide, missed field goal returns. You're going to tell me that missed field goal return wasn't great? You're going to tell me that that's not strategy? Okay, we can line up for a 52-yard field goal, but if we miss, can our fat guys go down and cover it? Or is Vavel going to return it? Or is Grant going to return it? Now, you could say, well, we still have that. Yeah, I guess we can. But factor this in, Batman. You got the ball, 3rd and 10 at the 25-yard line into the wind. Slight breeze at the 25. Normally, that's a 32-yard field goal. Okay? That's a 32-yard field goal. In 2027, that's a 47. Oh, wait a second. At the 25, you go back to the 32. That's a 47-yard field goal. So what do? Punt from the 25? I thought we wanted more scoring in this league. I thought we wanted more scoring. So we're going to make it harder to kick field goals. Well, ballsy, more teams will go for it on 3rd down. They might. That doesn't mean they're going to get it. Another beautiful thing about the 20-yard end zones. The defense had to cover the whole thing. It was still covering a tarmac in the end zone. In the NFL, if you get inside the 10-yard line, it is almost impossible to score a touchdown. You can, but it's pretty tough to score a touchdown. In the CFL, that's not the case. So do we want to score points or we don't want to score points? What is it? Do we want to score points or we don't want to score points? Take the rouge out of it. The rouge, not the one where it's kicked out and it's not playable. I'm okay with changing that. But the rouge is a reward for a battle of field position. In the wind, in the cold, in the rain, you still can get a point. You have the chance to bring it out. You have the chance to kick it out. It's uniquely CFL. It's never been the game. It's been marketing. We don't promote our players. We don't have a CFL draft on TV for more than 2 rounds. Well, nobody would watch it. Do me a favor. When you are done, if you have access, when you're done watching this or Monday Night Football, go watch the 30 for 30 Elway to Marino. It was on the 83 draft. And look at the footage of the draft in 1983, which is 42 years ago. Look at it. They were in a small hotel in New York with their little placards, New England Patriots, and Pete Rozelle goes there. They're all in tables in like would be a Queensberry Center. with the 23rd pick in the 1983 draft, the Miami Dolphins select Dan Marino. That's what it was. And now what was it? 500,000 in Green Bay or Detroit or wherever the hell it is? You got to start somewhere. Hey, we're going to have it at the Casino Regina tonight. Hey, you don't like the CFL? Tonight you're a Hamilton Tiger Cat fan. Here's a Hamilton jersey and 5 drink tickets. Go in there and have a great time and cheer loud. And you have everybody in there. Perception's everything and facts are negotiable. And that's where the problem is with the CFL. The stats don't work. TSN doesn't update its website. Halftime, the league posts Toronto 17, Saskatchewan 17, Toronto 7, except it's Saskatchewan 17 and Toronto 10. That's the league posting this. Riley Pickett scores his first ever touchdown for the BC Lions. Riley Pickett scored a 2-point convert. This is the league. They do all the little things wrong. They don't do anything particularly well. And then every commissioner says, we're working on the stats. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. Every commissioner says the same thing. Every single one. It's messaging from guys like Farhan, Arash, Naylor. Always questioning the ratio, always questioning the rules, always NFL. How many Canadians in the NFL? It's great to have Canadians in the NFL. What about doing features on the Canadians in the CFL? But they don't care. And the commissioner came from TSN where they didn't care. And all I heard was this commissioner is going to be great messaging. He didn't care about the CFL when he was the commissioner, when he was running the league. If he did, we would have had more than 2 rounds on the draft on TV. We'd be able to stream the combine somewhere. How do you build storylines when you don't even cover the guys coming up? Huh? It's not rocket science. Hey, Ken sends one in. It's not going to make us money. It's going to make us spend money. This is, by the way, I have no doubt in my mind, this is all MLSE driven. Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment has this league by the balls. A couple of good sources told me that Bob Young, the great owner of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who I'm surprised signed off on this, but I'm not in the boardroom. Bob Young wanted to play in COVID in 2020. He wanted to play in COVID in a bubble in Winnipeg. And I was told he was willing to foot quite a chunk of the bill. Not all of it, but he was willing to put his money where his mouth was because he recognized they should have played in COVID. But our bozo commissioner went to the league with no plan and got shut down for money. And so we were kind of floating in the wind. And a birdie told me that MLSC and Randy Ambrosi shot down the idea to play in COVID. But MLSC was behind it. Bob Young was ready to walk from the league, I'm told. And he got 2 Grey Cups in 3 years. 2021, 22 was here, 23 was in Hamilton. 2 out of 3 years went to Bob Young to appease him, as he should have been appeased. That's what I've been told by a couple of people. MLSC does not like domestic sports. Raptors, FC, Leafs play internationally. They do not want to support a domestic league. They have never shown an appetite. They don't do any. They say my buddy just went to a game in Toronto. The John Candy shirts was a nice touch. Mediums at one gate, large over here, extra large over here. They can't even do a t-shirt handout right. And they said the gates are going to open at 2 or 1:30. They opened at 2. My buddy went there. He's a CFL traditionalist, Peter. He went there. Couldn't believe it. Said, it's a debacle. They've got a great public address announcer. I know Adam does a great job. Mike Hogan, Ben Grant on their radio network, which, by the way, they don't travel anybody. They're not the only team. They don't travel anybody on the road. They should. Those guys are outstanding. But, yeah, this is MLSE. That's my opinion. They don't want a domestic league, okay? They don't want a domestic league. So Did anybody ask him? So what happens? So are we moving the kickoff back now? So if we're 100-yard field now with 15-yard end zones, are we moving the kickoff back? Because what's going to happen is these kickers will boom them through the end zone. Sergio Castillo all day long will kick it through the back of the end zone. Okay? He'll boot it right into the back of the end zone, through the back of the end zone, and it'll be a touchback. It'll be a touchback. So no points, NFL-like. And where does the ball go? Does it go to the 25? Does it go to the 30? Does it go to the 35? Anybody ask the commissioner that? No. Because we can't ask him any questions. Probably doesn't have any answers, but we're not allowed to do that. So that's one. Okay. So where are we putting the ball on a long kick like that? Okay. You basically have taken away the punted in, punted out. That's never going to happen anymore. The missed field goal return's never going to happen. But this is, and I talked about the punt. Brett Lothar's my friend. We know how Brett Lothar has struggled this year. A one-off year for him. Yet to be seen if he cleans it up. In 2027, Riders are driving. They're down 23-21 with 4 seconds to go on the clock, and they have the ball at the 28-yard line. The ball on the 28-yard line. That is now turned into a 50-yard field goal. From the 28-yard line has turned into a 50-yard field goal. More points? Is that the better way to go? Here's another thing. No thoughts on you all these big announcements. You want to talk about your replay center and how they're not getting things right? Maybe we could fix that. How about this stupid rule in the CFL? You got 2 timeouts a half, but if you don't use one before the 3-minute warning, you lose a timeout. What? In a faster league, you got that 35-second clock now that's faster. Streamline it. We only let them have 2 timeouts and they lose one after the 3-minute warning? If we're going to do that, what are we doing here? Let's talk about the fans too. So you're going to buy a ticket. Now you're probably drunk, liquored up in Pilsner Place, but you're going to go to Pilsner Place or the deck they have in Ottawa at the one end or in Winnipeg at the either end. Like if you're in Pilsner Place right now or the Rum Hut, I'll just paint a picture in Regina. You might as well be standing at the Dairy Queen drive-thru. You're going to be a ways away from the field now because the field shrunk. And what are they going to do with that extra space? They're going to have some premium seating down there? Maybe. I don't know. But lower level seating, is that going to be great? And if it's higher, you're going to block the views of the people that already have seats. I paid for a 55-yard line seat. Now what am I, at the 47? Do I get a discount? Like, the sidelines will be better. Luxury seats. No, they won't. They're not going to be better at Mosaic Stadium. Show me where they're going to be better at Mosaic Stadium. I'm sorry to be negative, but I'm not sorry. Somebody needs to call these people out. It's ridiculous. So this is the last thing I'm going to say. Why would they do this? Why would they announce it right now? Why wouldn't they consult the coaches and the GMs and the players? Nathan Rourke asked the same thing. I'll tell you why. Because they don't care. Because they're going to go to American football. This is done. The Buffalo Bills thing I thought was good, but as it turns out, it was the first domino. They're now going to go American football. This is just my opinion and my opinion alone. Here's how this goes. The CBA is done December 1st, 2029. Okay? 2029. But I did some digging. The TV deal is up next year at the end of 2026. And Stuart Johnston was hired to get a TV deal done. That's why he was hired. He has no passion for this league. He doesn't care about the CFL. He was just pulling your leg when he told you that he's a passionate Canadian Football League guy. No, he's not. He's not. Because if he was, he wouldn't be waving the flag on these changes today. Once again, is the NFL giving us a boatload of money? Is everybody broke and is the league going to fold? Did he say that? He never said that. He never told me that. If he told me that, maybe I have a different opinion, but he didn't tell me that. He didn't say that, did he? Or did I miss it? Did he say that? To me, he said, we have the most exciting season going on right now, but we're making all these changes. But he didn't say doing it because we're folding. He did say earlier only 2 teams are making money, and that's not a sustainable business model. Okay, so how does moving the benches to opposite sides, a 35-second clock, which I agree with both of those, moving the goalposts back, how does that make us any money? How does that get people to the game? How? Oh, by the way, before I get to that, I've heard this from people too. Reporters, people that I respect, but I can't believe they'd say that. Well, we got to move the goalposts. We got to move the goalposts for a couple of reasons. It's tough for quarterbacks to throw the ball. The fucking field is 65 yards wide and the end zones are 20 yards deep. I'm sorry, if you can't complete a pass as a professional quarterback with the goalposts at the front, go bag groceries like Kurt Warner. And no disrespect to grocery baggers. Go bag groceries if you can't complete a throw. Get out of here with that. How many times does a quarterback hit a goalpost? We can think of one time. 2019 West Final, Cody Fajardo. Heroic game from him. Hit the goalpost. Bombers go on to 5 straight Grey Cups. I get it. That's the only time of any significance I can think of. Wow, there are so many different plays you can run and all the stuff. You dumb shits. The goalpost can be used as an extra receiver to run a pick for you. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Oh, player safety, guys get hit. How many times in the last 10 years has somebody hit a goalpost and been hurt? Oh, wait. One, two, maybe 3 times. I think I saw one this year. Honest to God. Honest to God. We just make up shit now to... All this world is a spin job for narratives, whether you're on the right, whether you're on the left, whether you want 4 downs, whether you want 3 downs. It's all a spin job. Whatever anybody's going to buy, I ain't buying it. Come on now. We've done this for years, and now all of a sudden we're going to move it to the back. No. That's not why they're doing it. Here is why they're doing it. So, they need your support at the games. And I'm not going to tell you that I'm not going to go to games because I just went to a CFL game and I will go to a couple more this year and some more next year because I hope to watch that kid 29, Ethan Ball, for as long as I can. But here's the deal. Let's just call it like we see it. This is what I talked to my son before going on here. I actually asked the Winnipeg Blue Bombers if I could have my son on and they said I could. But I decided to keep my son out of this. My son and I had 4 conversations today because it hit our family hard because we love the Canadian Football League. He now, for obvious reasons, me, who I would say has been, I don't know that there's somebody as a bigger flag waiver of the 3-down game than this guy. I'd like to see it. Sorry, sounds like I'm bragging, but as my grandpa used to say, it's not bragging if you can do it. I've just talked an hour and 10 minutes straight about this league by myself without a stop. And I haven't even cried once. Probably cry when I'm done. I kept my son out of this, okay? I hope he can have a long career. but I fear he won't. And we've already had this tough conversation. Because here's how I see this shaking down. This is how I see it shaking down. 2026, this is their announcement, not mine. I'm not making this up, but I'm reading it. I'm on the Titanic and I see the iceberg right there. And I hope to God I'm wrong. It would be one of the first times I'm ever wrong. True. About this game for sure. 2026. See their announcement, not mine. See Stewart right there? 35-second auto play clock. Rouge must be a touchback. Teams must be opposite sides of the field. That's for this coming year. But we still play 110 yards, 20-yard end zones, motion and everything. Here's what they're doing. They're slow playing you. So you're going to be mad for a couple of days and then you'll forget about it. And we'll go into this. We'll continue with the season and there'll be some great games and we'll forget all about it. And we'll go into 26 and we'll really forget all about it. Then the TV deal is done. The TV deal is done. Okay. They start negotiating the new TV deal. Goalposts move back of the end zone. End zone shortened from 20 to 15 yards. Field length reduced from 110 to 100 yards. Okay? That is in 2027. At the same time, they're negotiating a new TV deal. Now, here's the rub. I'm going to say this because anybody can go back on my podcast and check it out. I said this league needs to expand. I said it needs expansion. I said I'd like to see a team in Montana. I'd like to see a team in North Dakota. I'd like to see a team in maybe St. Louis because they support all types of football. And probably, like 3 teams. Montana, North Dakota, St. Louis. And you could move Winnipeg to the east and have natural rivalries. Okay. St. Louis, I'm not sure. Like that'd be an outlier, but you'd have Montana and Alberta teams. You'd have North Dakota and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and you'd have St. Louis out west, and they could be a, natural rival of the Riders, or I don't know. Or if you wanted to say St. Louis isn't in, but you could go Portland, maybe have I don't know if Portland has a stadium, you could do Portland. Somewhere north where they know where Saskatchewan, Manitoba, where they know where Canada is, and a lot of our players come from the FCS. I've said that before, but I also said I want to keep the ratio because back in the day in the early 90s, we went too far south. And we got tied into college and we got tied into high school. And the Americans have showed you time and time and time and time again. 4-down football on Sundays is for the NFL. On Saturdays is for college, and Fridays is for high school football. 4-down football. But closer, Portland. Yeah, they might have a little Seattle, but the Ducks and stuff. But you could probably get away with playing CFL football there. Montana for sure. North Dakota for sure. You could do it. St. Louis is showing they'll take on any team. But I want to keep the Canadian ratio. Back in the day, we kept the Canadian ratio. We were 1-1 in Grey Cups and had a 500 record in the regular season with us using Canadians, them using Americans. So now back to my theory. 2029 is when the CBA expires. But it is my understanding in 2027, right when we move the goalposts and everything, that's when our new TV deal is in the works. I don't know if you've heard of this thing or not. Dave Naylor and Farhan Lalji said we'd have to amalgamate with the XFL for the CFL to survive coming out of COVID. Remember that? I do. And how did that work out for the XFL? They folded for what, like the 3rd time? And now The Rock took some of his teams to the UFL, and he's not even promoting the UFL anymore. So the UFL is on life support. The only reason they're still there is because of the Fox deal. So the commissioner needs to get a TV deal. there are only so many networks in Canada for a domestic league. So he is going to go south of the border to get a deal. And he will get it. UFL has a deal with Fox and DAZN. Now, if whatever's left of the UFL combines with the CFL, we got ourselves a partnership in 2027. They're not going to tell you they're doing all this now because they're not doing that now. They want you to go to the games next year. And I'm not saying stay away from the games, but that's what they're doing. They're slow playing this because in 2027, they're going to drop the bomb. Do you really think that we're going to have 15-yard fields when an actual American field is 100 yards by 10 in the end zones? And do you really think we're going to stay with 65-yard wide fields when we could narrow it to 53 and a half or whatever it is? They're not going to change the fields over and over again, especially in Canada. We're making one change, and that change is going to be once in 2027. And the commissioner didn't rule it out when he did answer a question or not answer a question from 3 Down Nation when he said, we will not rule out going to 4 downs. 4 downs, American field, full on. And honestly, they can open the CBA when they negotiate a new TV deal in 2027. If I'm a Canadian football player, I'm concerned and I'm asking questions. Where are we at with this? I'd want to know where I'm at. I talked to my agent. I'd want to know where I'm at with the Canadian ratio. It's apparently good to 2029, but from what I've been told, when they open a new TV deal, 2027 is when they can do it. I think this is all lining up for some sort of Americanized, full-on Americanized game. We got a death sentence today in the Canadian Football League. My last thing would be this. Please, please, please. U Sports, junior football, high school. Stay Canadian. If you can, stay Canadian. You don't have the money. That's why they're not worried about what's going to happen with U Sports and junior football. They have no plan for that. They don't care about that. They don't care about that because I don't know that they plan to have Canadians in the league very much longer. That's just my feeling. I have no insight to that. That's just my feeling. It's a sad day. It really is a sad day. This podcast will always be a defender of the Canadian League. And I still love all the players in what is the Canadian Football League. I just don't like what I saw today. Thank you for bearing with me. You can like or share this. I'd appreciate that. Get the word out there because not many people are talking about it. You can also subscribe at Ballsy Uncut on YouTube. Never miss an episode. And if you'd like to donate to the podcast, DM me or 306-526-7979. Because right now this is a labor of love. And right now we need something like this more than ever, where somebody's going to talk about the important issues that matter, especially as it relates to the Canadian game of football. Our game's under attack. It's under attack today. Our game is under attack. Look what happened today. It's under attack. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Long live Canadian football. Talk to you soon.